Okay, so you inject 150 milligrams of testosterone at once. Sexual function is okay. Erections for sex are doable. You wake up with nocturnals maybe 1 or 2 of 7 days of the week. Your libido is good sometimes and not so great other times. The bottom line there is you haven't reached your androgenic threshold. You inject instead 175 milligrams a week. Now erections are better. You're getting nocturnals more nights of the week. Erections for sex are even stronger without Cialis. Libido is better, but all these things aren't quite perfect. You're close to your androgenic threshold, but you haven't crossed it yet. You keep experimenting and you land on 210 milligrams a week, injected all at once. Then you've got nocturnal erections 5 to 7 days a week. Your libido is supercharged. Erections for sex are amazing without Cialis. And now your spontaneous erections have come back. Boom. You've hit your androgenic threshold. Now what? How do you dial in your injection frequency with testosterone cypionate knowing your androgenic threshold? Is there a floor of total testosterone and thus free testosterone that you need to stay at to support good sexual function throughout your injection window? Let's talk about the best frequency for testosterone cypionate, which you can only figure out via understanding your androgenic threshold of testosterone so that you can keep yourself in the Goldilocks zone for sexual function. All right, first of the video, Low Cortex Labs, which is my company, is a TRT guidance and sexual dysfunction resolution company. Got a range of different products around TRT and helping you dial in sexual function. Most popular, which is high dose TRT mastery, the video course. If you're tired of playing with small end, medium end TRT doses, you're just not getting results, get this course, up your dose. Learn how to get great erections and libido and insane anabolism on high doses of TRT. This video course is down in the description of this video. It can literally be yours right now. I am one of the most sought out coaches on TRT in the world. Our most popular consults lately have been, number one, the TRT protocol audit, 25-minute call with me. I'll audit your entire protocol, I'll give you suggestions on what to fix. And number two, the sexual function enhancement consult. This is for libido and erection problems on TRT. This is the consult to get. It's our most popular consult literally ever. 45-minute call with me. Full protocol formulation for you. You can book this on underminutelivecortex.com. Lastly, we have a source list, pretty self-explanatory, and a bunch of courses on mastering libido and erections on various esters of testosterone. Let's define the androgenic threshold. Listen, the androgenic threshold is the threshold of androgens, and we're going to measure this by total testosterone because it is the easiest number for us to look at which, if you cross it and you stay above that threshold, you have consistent nocturnal erections. Doesn't need to be 7 days a week. It can be 5 days a week, but roughly 5 to 7 days a week. You have consistently good, very rigid erections for penetrative sex without the use of PDE5 inhibitors. You maintain adequate girth and adequate blood flow, even when not in the erect state. Okay, this matters a lot. And if you're below your androgenic threshold, it's actually going to look like the male organ is smaller. We won't touch on libido regarding the androgenic threshold because that's largely a CNS phenomenon and requires you dial in DHT and estradiol, mainly estradiol. But the last pillar of maintaining an androgenic threshold, or what defines an androgenic threshold for you that works, is on trough, you do not feel crappy. You feel stable and energized, even on trough. Now, finding the androgenic threshold, at least in my direction from this video, does imply injecting less frequently than every day, every other day, or every third day. Meaning what's in play is every fourth day, every fifth day, every sixth day, and every seventh day. Okay, all those injection frequencies are completely in play because they all allow a degree of trough, obviously in an ascending fashion in terms of the trough, the size of the trough, as you gap out your frequency more to every sixth day or every seventh day. So the first question, how do you find your androgenic threshold? I'm going to give you the simplest answer possible because it really is the only answer, and that is inject more testosterone until you reach a state where you've met all of those criteria. For some people, that's going to be 150. And as long as you stay within that threshold of all those positive things happening, that determines your frequency. If you inject 150 and for 4 straight days you have all those positives and then at day 5 things start to slip, well, you need to see where you were at, the peak of that 150, where you were at the trough of that injection of 150, and there's your androgenic threshold. It's above the trough. Where erections started going south, where nocturnals went south, where erections for sex started going south, you need to be above that. So you need to go get the bloods to see where your thresholds are. And you situate your injection frequency to stay above your lowest level of total testosterone, below which erectile quality starts to fail. And of course, you trough and start feeling crappy and don't have energy. So the best way for me to explain this is to take us back to SteroidPlotter so we can look at this, so you can figure out where your androgenic threshold is and how to stay above it, which determines the best frequency of dosing of testosterone cypionate. So let's go with 150 every 5 days. This is just a starter protocol. I'm not suggesting you do that, but we're just going to run some examples. Let's plot that. And this is what we get. Our curve is relatively flat. We do get enough of a trough, which I find to be okay for the whole peak and trough thing to keep DHT and estrogen in balance. But, you know, you're peaking here at 1260 or so nanograms per deciliter. You trough back down, looks like, what is it, 1198. So it's about a 70 nanograms per deciliter difference. You definitely have a good enough amount of testosterone throughout this entire 5 days. Now, if you inject this and you do this every 5 days and you don't reach a point where you've got nocturnals most days, where erections are very rigid throughout, erections for sex are hard and rigid, easily doable without the use of Cialis, and you feel generally crappy at the latter end of this injection period, you've not reached your androgenic threshold. At any point during the peak, the effect duration window of an injection of testosterone cypionate, if you've not reached the place at which you have continuous nocturnal erections and good erections for sex, you have not reached your androgenic threshold yet. Now, here's the thing. You know, on every 5th day of 150 milligrams, you're not peaking any higher than 1260 nanograms per deciliter. You could go with a different frequency, a lower frequency, to try to find your androgenic threshold. If you change this to every 4 days, again, I wouldn't go to every 3rd day, every 3.5 days, every other day, or every day. Tends to not give people good enough sexual function unless the dose is very, very high. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to be exposed to steady state androgens, high levels of androgens all of the time. This is where your hematocrit's going to go up. The estrogen is going to stay elevated. The tissue level estradiol is going to stay elevated, and you're not going to be dialed in. So we go to every 4th day of 150 milligrams and see what that looks like. Okay, now we have the same looking curve, but we're peaking higher. We're peaking higher. We're peaking at 1555, and we're troughing back down at like 1498. So it's a 55, 57 nanogram per deciliter difference. You do have some degree of a trough, which is good. And maybe you've crossed your androgenic threshold here. If you have, let's say on this, every 4 days of 150 milligrams of testosterone cypionate per week, you have consistent erections for sex and consistent nocturnal erections, indicating you've reached the androgenic threshold for the penile vasculature to function correctly, consistently. Then you've got to determine through this 4-day period, well, are you still there on the trough? Okay, so say you are throughout 15. Peak is 1546, trough is 1498, or peak 55, whatever that was. That means your androgenic threshold, if you're good throughout this entire 4-day period, is just about 1498, about 1500 nanograms per deciliter. If you go below that, that's when you're going to stop having nocturnals. Erections for sex may not be great. You might need a little Cialis. The size of the penis may actually not look like it's your full size. There are people who experience this on the wrong dose of TAS. It almost seems like it's like less big some days and then gigantic in the way it's supposed to be other days. Yeah, it's not that your penis size changes, just the amount of blood flow. So if you reach this here, you're done. You've dialed in on TRT with cypionate. You found your frequency because you stay within your androgenic threshold of 1500 in this case nanograms per deciliter, but you are able to trough. Again, this is not a daily injection. You are getting a trough. You're not constantly exposed to androgens. It's just that right when you peak, you then start to trough again. You give yourself a break and then you peak back up. You stay with erections for sex, you stay with consistent nocturnals, you reach your androgenic threshold, and you're here. Now, let's say you want to push the envelope a little bit. Stay within your androgenic threshold, but get higher peaks, maybe a bigger gap in between, so more of a trough, but still stay within your androgenic threshold so that you're more anabolic at the peak. Sexual function's even better. I mean, just like over the top at the peak. And then when you trough back down, you're still in amazing territory with great erections for sex and great nocturnal erections and good penile function. So then you gap this out, okay? It's 200 milligrams. We're going to change this to 200 milligrams. So we're going to stay at this threshold of troughing at 1500. I know this is crazy for some people, but some people need to be troughing around 1500, below which they're just going to have problems with erections. Again, it's an extreme example, but I'm trying to just illustrate the point. So let's do this 200 milligrams every 6 days. Let's plot that out and see, does it meet our androgenic threshold for the entire effect duration window while still giving us enough of a peak trough so we can keep DHT and estrogen in the favorable ratios, not have to be pinning all of the time in a cumbersome fashion like we were never meant to do. Let's look at it. Okay, so we peak here at only 1464. We trough back down to 1265. For this particular individual, they're not crossing their androgenic threshold. So 200 milligrams of testosterone cypionate every 6 days is not enough testosterone for them to consistently cross the androgenic threshold. And this is where I need to stop people from their brainwashed states. 200 milligrams every 6 days to you, when you plot it out, is like it's more than 200 milligrams per week. It's going to scare you. There's a TRT prescriptive conservatism that keeps people from getting the therapeutic benefit from testosterone. People are scared of looking at whatever that is, 220 a week, 230 a week. I'm not even sure what that comes at, 215 per week. It's a high dose of testosterone according to what we all think. And what I want people to do when you're trying to find your androgenic threshold is to suspend that belief for just a second. Forget about the dose. Forget about the total weekly dose. Forget about what's stigmatized and figure out one singular thing should be your focus. What works for me? Okay, so we didn't reach this here. So we're going to keep that every 6 day interval so that we can keep the peak and trough, keep the mass anabolism on the peak and see where we can go. Let's go to 250 every 6 days. Now let's look at where we're at. Wow. Okay, now we're peaking at 1813, so 1800 or so nanograms per deciliter. And guess where the trough is? Right at the androgenic threshold. 1576, a little bit above the androgenic threshold. Here, you stay in the androgenic threshold the entire time. You get a nice peak of a couple hundred nanograms per deciliter, so you're getting the combination of that and an actual high level of testosterone where you're pushing, in this case, 1830. You're getting lots of anabolism, lots of energy. I mean, your physique is definitely going to transform up here in these numbers, and as long as you can manage the rest of your health, lipids, hematocrit, blood pressure, it's a sustainable dose. But here, right, you have the interval, okay, so the wave is not flat like daily injections, and you're staying in your androgenic threshold. You've now found the best frequency while still staying in your androgenic threshold for testosterone cypionate. And in this case, it's 250 milligrams every 6 days. So what's that mean? The most important thing for you to do is, it is to find the dose at which you can inject testosterone, where you stay having nocturnal erections most nights and great rigid erections for sex. And generally the look of the penis, the girth, the size, the fullness is up to par where you need to be. Then you figure out through frequency changes, plotting out on SteroidPlotter, executing the stuff yourself, running the blood work so that you can see on the trough, am I above that threshold? On the peak, you should be above that threshold. Identifying what that threshold is, you then build a protocol around that. Does this mean you're going to have to go to Quest kind of like a madman and the phlebotomists are going to be in there looking at you like you're kind of weird? Yes. Who cares? Does this mean you're going to have to take time out of your day to go and run frequent labs and you're going to have to do that for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe even 5 weeks, 6 weeks, depending on how long all of this takes you? The answer is yes. But here's the bottom line. One of the singular most important things you can do on TRT is find your androgenic threshold. Know when you're crossing the androgenic threshold. When you've reached it, stay there for the effect duration window of your injection period, and use tools like SteroidPlotter and Bloodwork to then determine your injection frequency so that even at your trough, you're above your androgenic threshold. Anything above that, like wherever you peak to, that's basically just gains. I mean, it's just basically like gains. Energy gains, anabolism gains, muscle protein synthesis gains, physique gains. And that's the bottom line. One last note, there are some people that once they find their androgenic threshold, they can stay there with every day or every other day injections. If that's you, totally fine. I'm just not a huge fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of steady state androgens. I do like to see a peak and drop in the blood work for various reasons, not the least of which is less continuous exposure to things that cause side effects on TRT, both in the bloods and in terms of subjective experience. But if you can maintain a titer of testosterone that keeps you in your androgenic threshold by doing daily injections or every other day injections, go for it, as long as the sexual function is intact and the health markers aren't skewed. But generally, people have a better time doing gapped out injections. And as I said at the beginning, look, go to livecortex.com on the homepage and you'll see a list of products that are targeted for specific esters for sexual function and dialing in. This is the kind of stuff you're just not going to find anywhere else on the internet. I've been doing this as a coach for 7.5 years, so I built all the instructional guides on each ester and on high dosing test. All right, so you can get any one of these products down in the description of this video. The most popular lately has been high-dose TRT mastery. If you're tired of playing with small doses of TRT or even medium doses of TRT, you want to see what it's like at the higher levels, achieving anabolism, but also libido and erections that are much better and greater than on medium TRT doses, but you still want to keep your health, hematocrit, blood pressure, estrogen, and sexual function in check. That's what high-dose TRT mastery is. You can go download this and watch it. It is yours forever. I have not covered this stuff on the channel. In the description of this video, it's 20% off. Use the code on the screen and it's yours. We have a source list, pretty self-explanatory. Sometimes you need to circumvent the system to get what it is you need. That's why that product is available. Mastering Libido and Erections on TRT is a downloadable digital playbook for sexual function that every male on TRT should have. I wrote it. I crafted the best protocols for sexual function with testosterone cream and put that in a video course, which you can get down below. And then lastly, I'm a coach on TRT. It's basically all I do from 9 in the morning till about 5 p.m. with the exception of a gym break and some eating. The most popular consults lately have been the TRT protocol audit. It's a 25-minute call with me where I'll hear your entire protocol, fact find to figure out what was wrong, audit everything, and give you suggestions on what to fix. Doesn't come with protocol generation on our side on a document. That is your responsibility during this consult. However, what does come with protocol generation and 3 additional adjustment routes is our literal most popular consult we've ever put out to the market, which is TRT Sexual Function Enhancement Consult. 45-minute deep dive call with me, assessment of everything, audit of everything, a full online TRT protocol command center generated by me with adjustment routes for you to move forward. For folks that don't want to do long coaching cycles but want to fix libido and erection problems on TRT, you can get this down in the description of this video. Major announcement for all coaching, including the sexual function consult onward. So this, the 3-month coaching, the 6-month coaching, and performance optimization black, we are now partnered with AFFIRM, where instead of paying all the coaching fees up front, you can just click AFFIRM. Okay, you can choose to use a credit or debit card and just get it out of the way. But if you'd like to pay over time, you can use AFFIRM. Those that have been wanting to book me for the longer term packages, which are still 50% off, so it's actually 50% off of that price, plus you get to pay it over time with AFFIRM. This is the golden opportunity to get on board with me. All right, you can book consulting or coaching and get any of those products in the description of this video or at livecortex.com. Thank you so much for being with me. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. Do me 2 favors. Like the video, sub to the channel. Much more coming, and you guys are going to love it. Kick ass, rock on, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you this week for more content, man. See you on the next one.